I'm Robin Cullen, and I'm running as a write-in for the Kenosha Unified School District School Board. I am running because there was an opening for a pro-public school um, candidate. I have been in public education. This is my 33rd year. I think one thing that makes me different from all the other candidates is that I am currently in public education. I have been teaching and working as a school counselor in public education for 33 years. So I have my boots on the ground. I know what it's like every day for the education staff. I work with students every day. And so I think that I have a lot to offer in terms of the school board. So I'm a proud National Education Association member and have been my whole working career. I believe in collective bargaining, so I am a strong union supporter and member, current member. Well, I believe that public education is for everyone, and everyone needs to feel safe. And so we need to make sure that our LGBTQ students and staff also feel safe. I believe that we need to have policies that protect them, whether it's allowing people to use whatever pronoun that they want to use, that we have non-gender bathrooms for everyone to feel comfortable in. Everyone needs to feel included and safe in the school. To be honest, I would have to review current policies to see what current policies are already in place. But, um, if we're lacking policies that make sure that all students feel included and safe, then I will be the first one to help write those policies. So I know what this is like. Having worked in the classroom and currently working as a school counselor, I know that plan time is vital, and it needs to be during the workday. If we want to have high quality instruction, people, educators have to have time to plan. And what usually happens is that you might be given, a certain amount of time, but it's small chunks of time, right? It's like it might be 30 minutes here, which you're lucky if you have time to like go to the bathroom. You open up your email and 30 minutes is gone like that. Often plan time is eaten up by meetings, right? Like administrators will be like, "Oh, that's great. We'll meet during your plan time and like have this meeting," and then your plan time is gone. So plan time has to be because quality. If we want to make gains in students' academics. If we want to raise test scores, we have to have quality instruction. And in order to have quality instruction, people have to have time to plan. We don't ask any other industry to be like, okay, we don't ask engineers to like design something new and then don't give them the time to design it. But we expect teachers to teach content to our students in an engaging way that students are engaged without giving them any plan time. So again, I think teachers and educators have to be part of the process in determining how that looks. I know it's hard, but we have to protect plan time. Okay. Um, so I won't pretend that I'm an expert in community schools, but it is my understanding that community schools um, are so schools are a hub for a community, right? Like they're a hub and they're so much more than just like kids going in the door, learning math, reading, and writing, and leaving, right? Schools bring the community together. And so, and schools should be used um, for all kinds of things. And so it's my understanding that community schools might have mental health centers in them, or they might have a health center. I had a really good friend before I moved to Kenosha who was a public school, who was a nurse practitioner, and she always worked. Her clinic was always in a public school, and that's where the community member, and she treated the parents, the grandparents, the students, everyone, like everyone came, but it was always at the neighborhood school. So that's how I kind of envision it, whether it's providing services that that neighborhood needs, whether it's health, mental health, or I don't know, something else. I've heard laundromat thrown out there. I think that's great. Like anything that brings people in the community together around that school. But I'll admit that I couldn't rattle off the pillars to you. So I would have to learn more about it, but I'm willing to do that. Well, I feel like there's a couple different questions in that question. The one I'm going to kind of focus on is the restraint and seclusion because I'm really passionate about that and I have a lot of experience um, with really challenging students. So if you look at the federal guidelines for when restraints and seclusion should be used, restraint should only be used if the person feels that their life is in danger or there is a high risk of permanent disfigurement. I can tell you that probably the majority of time when kids are being restrained, it is for tearing up classrooms. It is for not following instruction. It's, becoming dysregulated. And it should always be our goal to be restraint free. Every time you put your hands on a child and you restrain them, you are possibly traumatizing that child and you are also putting yourself at risk for injury. And because the minute you put your hands on a child, you send them into fight flight mode and they're going to fight back. And it's dangerous for them and it's dangerous for you. What we need to be focusing on is we need to be making sure that all of our staff members are being coached in classroom management and in de-escalation techniques so that, it's not going to happen overnight, but our goal should be that the report comes out and there's been zero restraints. That should be our goal. Well, I don't know that I have all the answers, but I will tell you that I will advocate for educators to be paid well. I'm an educator. I um, was a single mom for a long time. I believe, and I am highly educated, as are most of our teachers. With everyone has at least a bachelor's degree. Many teachers have beyond bachelor's degrees, master's plus, and we educators deserve to be paid well. I work with new teachers who the best they can do is live in studio apartments and work second jobs. And it's just not right. Teachers should be able to make a living um, being an educator. So the funding in Wisconsin is messed up, in my opinion. We have this huge surplus at the state level, and the money needs to come to public education. We, as a state and as a community, need to fund our schools well. And we're not going to be able to retain teachers if people can't, if they're not going to get paid well. I mean, right now there's such a teacher shortage. There was such a loss during COVID. A lot of teachers left, a lot of teachers retired, that there's a huge teacher shortage in every single district. And teachers are going to go where they pay more. Why wouldn't they? Why would they go to a district and work just as hard if they can go somewhere else and work just as hard and make more money? So if we, the only teachers, new teachers that we're going to be recruiting, if we don't pay well, is the teachers that nobody else wanted in their other districts. And those are not the teachers that we want in Kenosha Unified. We have to pay our teachers well. I'm not exactly sure how we get there, but we got to fix the funding at the state level for sure. The short answer is yes. I mean, we have to look at the, when I look at the boundaries of the way that the schools are, the boundaries for the schools, it it also creates inequities. I don't understand why it's like north, south, east, you have the east and then the west, and there are just so many different ways that you could do the boundaries that it would make it a wider variety of students that would come into one school, which I think would be a positive thing. Um, the community schools, if having schools stay open and then using that empty space in the building that the school district is saying that they can't afford to keep these schools open because they're not at capacity. If you could rent out that space to other entities, then I don't know why we wouldn't do that so that we could keep schools in kids' neighborhoods, right? I think kids should be able to walk to school. I don't understand either. I've never known a school district where you don't get bused unless you live more than 2 miles away. It's always been a mile. I've always known, like, if you're more than a mile away, then you get bused. Like, I don't understand even the whole busing situation. It puts a big burden on parents driving, and not everyone can drive their kid to school. I know I couldn't because I was a school teacher. I had to be at school early. I couldn't drive my kid to school. So yeah, we need to do better. Yes, I would support a referendum. I would support, I don't know how it looks at the school level or, at the school board level, but we need to be advocating for fair funding at the state. Um, we need to stop sending public taxpayer money to voucher schools. It is siphoning off money that should be coming to the public schools. And so we should be doing everything we can to stop that. And yeah, I mean, we as a community, I believe that public education is a noble profession, and we as a community need to rally around our schools. And I think that there's been a lot of division. A lot of people feel skeptical. They're not really sure what's going on. I think the community doesn't feel included. And they need to feel included. They need to feel a part of what their vision is for public education, because it's their kids, but it's in everybody's best interest, whether you have kids in the school district or not, to have high quality public schools. That is what's going to help Kenosha overall, and it's what's right. I mean, we're educating the next generation. We need to have kids that are well educated, critical thinkers, resilient, have growth mindsets, or grit, are able to tackle these huge problems that we're facing in our society. And so, yes, absolutely, I would support a referendum, but we have to we also have to fix the funding issue. We shouldn't have to be going to referendum, is my opinion. There's money at the state that should be coming to us. Public schools should, the educators in public schools should look like the students that they are teaching. And we need to be actively recruiting principals, teachers, school psychologists is really important. People of color in these fields, right? The school psychologists are often the ones who diagnose kids with learning disabilities and IEPs and all of that. We need to make sure that our school system is as diverse as our population, because let's face it, a lot of public school teachers, myself included, are middle class white women, and we teach to middle class white girls. And that's not who's in our classroom all the time. It's a very small portion of what's in our classroom. And so we need to have colleagues. I need to have colleagues. I need to have supervisors. I need to have people I'm working with who have diverse experiences, who can say, wait a minute, like, let's look at this differently, or let's look at this, or whatever. And so, yeah, I think it's super important. And I was really grateful that I raised my kids in a very diverse school district where, their principal for elementary school was a Black woman. Their principal at the high school was a Black man. They had teachers who were gay. They had teachers who were straight. They had teachers that were married. They had teachers that weren't. They had everything. And they had classmates that were like that. Um, and it gave them a wider perspective of the world. And I think Kenosha is a fabulous community, but it's diverse, and our school district needs to be diverse. So we need to be actively, that needs to be a goal that we are actively searching for when we're hiring, that we're looking in places and advertising in places where we will attract educators and administrators who are people of color, and LGBTQ and all of that.